Deep inside Beijing's forbidden city, emperors ruled for 500 years. But what if I told you it hides chambers of torture, poisoned concubines, and curses that doomed dynasties? Welcome to AllNationsHistoryHub today. We uncover the forbidden city's darkest secrets. This isn't just a story about golden roofs and jade thrones. It's a tale of blood, betrayal, and power so absolute it corrupted everything it touched. For centuries, this imperial palace was the center of the world, a city within a city, forbidden to commoners. But behind its towering red walls, the whispers of the dead tell a very different story. Stay with us as we peel back the layers of myth and legend to reveal the chilling truths that have been buried for centuries. The Forbidden City. Its name alone evokes a sense of mystery and grandeur. Construction began in 1406 under the command of the ambitious Emperor Yongle, the third ruler of the Ming Dynasty. This wasn't just a palace, it was a statement. A monumental fortress sprawling over 180 acres, designed to be a celestial reflection of the heavens, with the emperor at its cosmic center. Over 1 million laborers, including 100,000 artisans, toiled for 14 years to bring this vision to life. They erected a complex of nearly 1,000 buildings containing over 9,000 rooms, all protected by a 35-foot-high wall and a 170-foot-wide moat. For nearly 500 years, this was the exclusive domain of 24 emperors from the Ming and Qing dynasties. No one could enter or leave without the emperor's express permission. From the sky, it's a breathtaking sea of yellow tiled roofs, a symbol of imperial power. But on the ground, the layout tells a story of control. The city is divided into an outer court for state ceremonies and an inner court, the private residence of the emperor and his family. It was here, in the labyrinthine corridors of the inner court, that the real drama unfolded. While the outer court projected an image of divine harmony and righteous rule, the inner court was a hotbed of jealousy, ambition, and lethal intrigue. Only a select few rooms held true power, and those who vied for it often paid with their lives. The emperor, the son of heaven, was a virtual prisoner in his own golden cage, surrounded by thousands of courtiers, guards, and servants, yet utterly alone in his power and paranoia. Every corner, every courtyard, has a story to tell, and many of them are soaked in fear and bloodshed. Life within the inner court was a gilded prison, especially for the thousands of women who served the emperor. His harem consisted of the Empress, high-ranking consorts, and countless concubines, all vying for his favor. Their lives were a constant battle for status, a game where the prize was influence and the penalty was often a brutal, silent death. Poison was a common tool. A rival could be eliminated with a tainted cup of tea or a specially prepared meal. The emperor's favor was fickle, and a woman who fell from grace could disappear overnight, her existence erased from official records. But nothing compares to the sheer horror of the events that unfolded in the year 1620. This wasn't just a single murder, it was a massacre. Emperor Cixi, a weak and disinterested ruler, had allowed the palace to fall under the control of his corrupt allies. To consolidate power and eliminate any potential threats or witnesses to their scandalous affairs, his loyal guards were unleashed upon the women of the inner court. On a single, terrifying night, it's said that 2,800 women concubines, maids, and servants were systematically slaughtered. Their bodies were thrown into wells and buried in unmarked graves to cover up the atrocity. The official histories barely mention it, but the whispers have never died. To this day, staff and visitors report strange noises and apparitions in the palace's northeastern corner, where many of the women lived. They speak of a woman in white weeping by a well, and the sounds of cries echoing through empty courtyards. The blood may have been washed away, but the memory of the massacre haunts the Forbidden City, a chilling reminder of the disposable nature of life behind its walls. While the women of the harem schemed in the shadows, another group held a unique and terrifying power, the eunuchs. These were men who had been castrated, often as boys from poor families, to serve in the imperial household. Because they could not father children and start their own dynasties, they were considered trustworthy and loyal. But this trust was often misplaced. Stripped of their manhood, many eunuchs channeled their ambition into a ruthless quest for political power and wealth. By the late Ming Dynasty, their influence had become absolute. They controlled the imperial workshops, managed the state treasury, and led the dreaded Eastern Depot, the emperor's secret police. They were the emperor's eyes and ears, and they used their position to build vast networks of spies and informants. One name stands above all others in the dark history of eunuch power: Wei Zhongxian, He rose from an illiterate street gambler to become the most powerful man in China, ruling through the puppet Emperor Changqi. Wei established a reign of terror, purging the court of his political enemies through torture and execution. He was known as the 900 years, a title just shy of the emperor's 1000 years. It's a bitter irony that the great maritime expeditions of Admiral Zheng He, himself a eunuch, which projected Ming power across the Indian Ocean, were funded by a system that would later be corrupted by men like Wei. This unchecked power created deep fractures within the government, fostering corruption that rotted the dynasty from the inside out. When peasant rebellions and Manchu invaders threatened the borders, the Ming court was too busy with its internal power struggles to mount an effective defense, leading directly to its spectacular collapse. Every dynasty must fall, and the Qing, who took over from the Ming in 1644, were no exception. For 2.5 centuries, they ruled from the Forbidden City, but the seeds of their downfall were sown far beyond its walls. By the 19th century, the world was changing. The industrial might of the West was knocking at China's door, and the empire, complacent in its isolation, was unprepared. The Opium Wars were a brutal awakening. Western gunboats shattered the illusion of Chinese supremacy, forcing the empire to sign humiliating treaties. The Forbidden City, once the unassailable center of the world, was breached. In 1900, during the Boxer Rebellion, soldiers from the Eight-Nation Alliance marched into the palace, looting its treasures and desecrating its sacred halls. The final act came with Puyi, the last emperor of China. He ascended the throne as a toddler and was forced to abdicate in 1912, ending over 2,000 years of imperial rule. He was allowed to live in the inner court for several more years, a lonely boy rattling around in an empty palace, a relic of a bygone era. His eventual exile symbolized the complete and utter collapse of the imperial system. The curses whispered about for generations seemed to have come true. The mandate of heaven had been withdrawn. The Forbidden City was no longer forbidden. It was a museum. But even today, mysteries remain. Modern theories, fueled by old rumors and recently discovered documents, suggest that hidden tunnels beneath the palace may still hold vast troves of Qing treasure, secreted away before the final collapse. Billions of dollars in gold, jewels, and art, waiting to be found, a final secret from a lost world. From its bloody construction to its ignominious fall, the Forbidden City is more than just a tourist attraction. It's a monument to the seductive and destructive nature of absolute power. Its silent stones have witnessed unspeakable cruelty, desperate ambition, and the slow, agonizing death of an empire. The ghosts of poisoned concubines, corrupt eunuchs, and forgotten emperors still linger in its courtyards. What we see today is just the beautiful, sanitized shell of a much darker reality. If this journey into the shadows of the Forbidden City blew your mind, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to AllNationsHistoryHub for more hidden histories. We dive deep into the stories you were never taught in school. Now I want to hear from you. What's the creepiest palace story you know, from anywhere in the world? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.